This is Noah from New Orleans. So I want to talk about Joe Rogan and misinformation. My main goal is to prevent young males from dying of myocarditis for a vaccine, which was rushed and based on new technology. And specifically that fact check of Joe Rogan by, who was that, Josh, which was based on an article which is does not support its case, and it's actually based, I think.
Hey, dude. Hey, just calm down for a second. Calm down. Just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
You haven't stopped talking since you said hello. Okay.
Okay.
So you're saying this guy, Josh, posted an article. Josh who?
Oh, no. So remember when Rogan was interviewing some guy, I think he's Australian. His name is Josh, I think.
Oh, Josh Zepps. Okay. So when Rogan was arguing with Josh Zepps, and Rogan said the incidence of myocarditis was higher with vaccination, and you're saying that Josh and Josh said actually myocarditis exists with COVID,
more
is
common
higher.
Infection.
Yeah, and then Rogan looked it up and found something that was consistent with that. And you're saying that that is wrong. That what is your contention?
Yeah.
Take it out of the realm of Josh and Joe. Okay. What is your contention?
Okay. Well, first of all, just finding an article that supports your case is not evidence. That's the first step. You have to actually read the article, because Joe Rogan had an article that he based his belief on. How do we settle the score? I mean, whoever finds the last article is the winner. And then when you look at the article that
what is your contention? Listen, stop. Listen.
I'm gonna
listen. Okay. Stop talking about Josh and Joe.
What? I'm giving you evidence.
No, you're not giving me evidence. You're telling me Joe, Josh, this and that. What is your contention about myocarditis?
Myocarditis by the vaccine is caused more often by the vaccine in 18 to 24-year-olds, as the data shows. And that study
Then what? Then
COVID infection.
COVID infections. You're suggesting that 18 to 24-year-olds who get COVID do not get myocarditis at the rate that they do from the vaccinations. That's your contention.
Correct.
And you are citing what study?
I'm citing. Okay. Well,
I mean, dude, why are you acting so frustrated? I'm actually trying to help you communicate your point. And I don't know why you're acting frustrated. Like, oh, I've got to cite a study. Yeah. Cite the study.
I'm not acting frustrated. You have to let me get out a complete thought. Okay. Because you guys said he was wrong because of a study. And I'm telling you, I keep mentioning his name just to indicate which argument we're talking about. He brought up a study. It was a Nature article that said that COVID infection causes more myocarditis. And that is based on observational data that did not look at age groups. And you have to do more than just find a study that supports the case. That's
so what's the study you're citing to support your contention? No, you can't do it the way you want to do it. I just want to know what the contention is.
I'm going to tell you why I even side. That's why I'm going to even tell you why I side when you ask me for it. Because you can't, I'm going to tell you a study, but you can't just find a study. You have to actually read the study. You can't just say, oh, look, I found a study.
I will read the study. All you're doing is making an assertion.
Okay. All right. I have to tell you what my approach is here. The studies that you're reading are based on observational data, just like theirs is minimized because it's based on observational data. What we need is a
I'm sorry. Did you say VAERS? VAERS?
Yeah.
VAERS is not a study.
No, but it's observational data. Just like that. This study.
Self-reported observational data, not doctors.
Yeah. So some doctor Googled myocarditis and found all the cases in this index. It's not a randomized prospective study. It's just Google. They searched. I mean, not even Google. They searched in the database and found myocarditis, and they found COVID infection, and that's how they got their data. That's not the way you get the right numbers. So if you really want to make this vaccine shown to be safe, you got to do a randomized prospective study. You need 10,000 people in each arm.
Whoa! We didn't say safe, did we? What happens with myocarditis? Tell me what is the danger associated with myocarditis? How many people?
Very dangerous. It has a high mortality.
Oh, it does.
Is
that right?
Mild myocarditis.
Are Is that really the case?
I'm not. So this is how you win debates, by interrupting the point?
No. Listen, you keep dancing around on stuff. All right. Let's be clear. Let's be clear.
You're moving on to another
excuse
point.
me. No.
You're moving on to another point.
I will go back to the original point, which is you made an assertion that the incidence of myocarditis between the ages of males, between the ages of 18 to 24, is greater than the incidence of myocarditis from COVID in the ages of 18 to 24 males. Cite your evidence.
Okay, I'm going to find this. I'm going to find the study. The study is by Hoeg, Hoeg, and it
Hoeg.
Hoeg is the author. One second. What are you gonna read it live? No, this is my whole point. What are you gonna do? Read it now?
Well, you think I'm just going to let you come and make an assertion like that and not even tell people what you're citing it on? I mean, you're sitting here, you're basically sitting here. When was that study released?
1 second.
Well, I mean, I don't understand how you come on here preparing for this call. You're going to make this assertion.
What do you mean? I'm going to tell you why that you're wrong about that point too, because I'm not prepared to hand you a study you're not going to understand or be able to read right now anyway.
Excuse me, doctor. Excuse me, doctor. Are you a doctor?
Yes.
You are.
I'm not giving you my background. I have a scientific background and I can but even if you're not a doctor, you'd have to spend
Well, I know that I have spoken to doctors who have told me that myocarditis is a fairly common thing. Do you know what it involves when you get myocarditis?
No, it's not very common at all. It's very rare, and and you have to be hospitalized.
You are high right now, dude.
No. So yes. What are you basing that on?
I'm telling, because I've spoken to doctors who tell me, pediatricians, I've spoken to epidemiologists who say, you know what you need for myocarditis? A couple of days rest.
Yes, that's bullshit. Bullshit.
Oh, really?
You have to be admitted to the hospital. You want me to read you? I can read you a guideline on myocarditis that tells you exactly. Here it is. When myocarditis is suspected, this is academic.oup.com, a European article, a European medical journal. When myocarditis is suspected in asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic patients, according to admission to the hospital and clinical monitoring.
Asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic? What? Asymptomatic of what?
If you have myocarditis, you could be asymptomatic. That means you might not have chest pain, or you might not have shortness of breath, or you might not have arrhythmias. You could be asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic.
This is myocarditis as a function of what? Of something else, or just the incidence of myocarditis that just shows up for no reason?
This was before COVID. I'm telling you the definition, what they recommended.
Listen, what you are doing is you're conflating two things. Myocarditis.
No, I'm not conflating anything.
Excuse me.
Hurt my whole point.
Excuse me. Myocarditis as a function of the flu, let's say, or myocarditis as a function of a primary infection, or myocarditis as a function of getting a vaccine is different from the presence of myocarditis for unexplained
all
reasons.
These children were admitted to the hospital just like pre-COVID. They admitted and put them on a monitor.
Dude,
they did echocardiograms,
that's because
MRI,
they want to know why the kid has myocarditis. If they know if the kid has the flu and they get myocarditis,
and they progress to heart failure. You're not letting me finish. Every case that you cannot call myocarditis mild. That's like calling a stroke mild.
No, it is not. Thing. You are wrong.
It's mild in comparison to other cases. You
are wrong.
What are you basing my being wrong on?
Every doctor I've spoken to about this.
I can tell you the study that Malone quoted that
that Malone quoted. About. Can you find somebody else besides the lunatic?
Can you let me finish the thought? So I'm identifying the study. It was a Hong Kong study where they claimed that all the cases were mild, but all these cases were admitted to the hospital. They had decreased heart function. They have to stay on a monitor for days. The MRI showed possible evidence of future scarring.
What study is that? So that people can go and read it, other than your assertion of it. The sort of doctor.
Okay, hold on a second. So here, first, before I go on to the other study, this is the study for the one that shows the connection, the Hoeg study I mentioned earlier, and then I'll tell you the other one. SARS-CoV-2 mRNA vaccine.
How many cases of myocarditis?
Do you want the study or not? Now you don't want the study?
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Say the study.
The SARS-CoV-2 mRNA vaccination associated myocarditis in children ages 12-17, a stratified national database analysis.
And who did it? Where can we find that? Do you want to give us a link?
The link is medrxiv.org/content/
medrxiv.org. Oh, wait a second. I've obviously been there before. Okay.
If you Google the title, you'll find it.
Mask wearing notably reduces COVID-19 transmission. I guess that was a different study from that same RXIV. This is by BMJ and Yale. I'm sorry, that comes up with masks. Mask wearing notably reduces COVID-19 transmission. That's obviously not the one that you're talking about.
The author is Tracy Beth Hoag, Hoeg. The Hoag has a line through it. The O has a line through it.
Tracy Beth Hoag, okay. And this is a, what do we got here? Can't find anything. I will look through it. And what does it claim to say?
That COVID vaccine causes myocarditis, is increase in myocarditis. But I didn't finish the thought on myocarditis, mild versus the mild myocarditis you're talking about. You cannot call something mild on the basis of initial signals from VAERS, which they
I'm not talking about VAERS. Myocarditis. I'm not talking about.
That's how they figure it out there. That's how they found the connection to myocarditis.
Wait a second. Who's VAERS? Okay, listen. VAERS is self-reported.
That's how it first came up.
But myocarditis. Myocarditis takes place distinct from COVID, distinct from vaccines. How many cases worldwide per year?
When you get
how many cases? How many cases?
That's reported.
How many cases of viral? There's a difference between like viral myocarditis. There's a difference between carditis that is a function of a primary infection. You're conflating all sorts of different things.
I'm not conflating anything. I didn't. What do you mean I'm conflating? What does that mean?
What does conflating mean?
I know what conflating means. What do you mean by saying I'm conflating it? You can't decide that something is not mild simply because they're first uncovering the data on all this stuff. You can't just say, oh, well, it's just mostly mild. We just figured this out. We haven't figured out anything. We need more time. It takes years to figure out what exactly the pathophysiology of a disease is. You can't just call it mild. Oh, most of them did okay. Most of them did not do okay. They had to spend days in the hospital.
You're saying the majority of people who get myocarditis go to the hospital.
They get admitted to make sure they don't die.
Okay. You're saying the majority of people, you're saying, okay, let me just be clear here, because I want people to be able to go and talk to their own doctor.
People are afraid to debate because you let them.
Listen, I'm just getting you. It is a thought. It is a thought.
You're going to think everything I say is wrong.
Listen, yes, everything you're saying is wrong. But listen to me.
Because other people told you I'm wrong. That's not evidence.
No. Nobody knew you were wrong. Listen.
Why don't you get it?
I want to be clear.
Talk to me.
Hold on.
Because
I want you. Hold on. Hold on. I want to be clear. Just all I'm doing is restating your assertions so that people can go and ask a qualified physician as to whether some of your assertions are correct. Let me finish. Your assertion is that the majority of people who get myocarditis must be hospitalized for it. Is that correct? Is that your assertion?
What do you mean? Yes. They must be hospitalized for a few days to figure out if they're going to be asymptomatic or the ones who are going to die. And then you still need a
now what I want, I'm going to let you continue to talk. I'm going to let you continue to talk, but I want everyone to hear this so they can know your credibility. Next time you see your doctor, or if you know a physician, I want you to shut up for 1 second. I'm going to let you talk after I say this to my audience. No. I'm not. I'm just repeating what you said. I want them to go to their doctor and say, doctor, are the majority of people who get myocarditis from a flu, from a vaccine, from whatever it is, must they be hospitalized for multiple days? And when the doctor says, no, they should take it easy, shouldn't go jog, should rest sometimes, then they'll know that your call is completely bogus. Get another doctor, that doctor is an idiot. But if their doctor says, absolutely, yes, whenever we have incidences of myocarditis, or at least majority of them, we hospitalize people for multiple days to make sure that they don't die because it's like a stroke. Then they'll know Sam is full of shit.
Even mild strokes may reverse themselves in a matter of minutes, but you still don't know if it's going to progress or not. So in that situation,
also people should say, is myocarditis like a stroke? And when the doctor says no.
So dude, you're not letting me talk. You're not answering my point. No wonder you're such a great debater. Yes. You interrupt and you don't know what.
Keep talking.
Mild myocarditis is not a mild thing that you can just blow off. If you have myocarditis, so you have an interview. There's one lady whose son was interviewed. She was interviewed on a podcast where she talked. She was at first all happy. She's a molecular biologist, by the way. She was all happy about getting the vaccine, and her son got vaccinated. And then now she didn't realize it's months of lots of bills, months of follow-ups with a cardiologist. You got to make sure your heart doesn't have permanent damage, even if you were a mild case. I can read you. Here's the Hong Kong study that you wanted to know about, that Malone mentioned, and supposedly that one was all the subjects were mild in that case. Okay, you listening? You want to take the title of the study? It's Epidemiology of Acute Myocarditis / Pericarditis in Hong Kong Adolescents Following Community Vaccination. You got that?
Yeah.
That's a great argument. Whispering.
I said, yeah.
So this Science versus podcast interviewed the doctor from this study to debunk Malone, and this doctor said no, they were all mild cases. So in other words, saying what you're claiming right now. Okay, you got that?
No, I honestly can't understand what you're talking about.
The study that Malone brought up, all the subjects were mild myocarditis, like you're claiming. A podcast interviewed the doctor that did this study, and he agreed that Malone was wrong. In other words, agreeing with you, all the cases in this study were also mild. Okay? Are you following me?
So this doctor on this podcast said that Malone was wrong, and that's where we're at right now.
The doctor who did this study, he claimed all the subjects were mild cases, just like you're claiming. And I'm going to tell you here what mild is. And here, 35 subjects, and there were cases with decreased left ventricular function, 2 of them. That means your heart is not pumping as well as it normally does. Does that sound like mild to you? They had subjects with
yes, it does.
Late gadolinium enhancement, which is an indicative
mild to me.
Of scarring in the heart. You can look up the study yourself if you want to bring it up right now, and you can scroll down to the bottom of it, and you can see what I'm reading. Borderline LV function, patchy edema, diffuse patchy pericardial and subpericardial, late gadolinium enhancement.
Okay.
These are the mild cases.
Right.
Your heart's not working as well. They're calling that mild.
Okay.
When your heart is not pumping effectively, that's not a mild thing, even if it gets better.
Doctor, excuse me. Excuse me.
What? Yes.
You're familiar with here's let me read to you, okay? This from Penn Medicine. This is just something that somebody sent while we're talking. Myocarditis. What is myocarditis? It's an inflammation of the heart tissue. That doesn't sound mild to me. Holy shit. Specifically the myocardium. It's the middle layer of the heart wall. It affects your heart's electrical system. Whoa. Most cases of myocarditis are caused by an infection. And then it says the symptoms: viral infection, rapid abnormal chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue. Diagnosis: it takes an EKG or a chest x-ray or an MRI or a blood test or cardiac catheterization. Treatment at Penn. For many people with mild cases, myocarditis usually improves on its own or with medication. with rest and antibiotics to fight the indication, you may experience a complete recovery. I mean, this is the case.
So yeah,
that myocarditis can be very mild. In fact, the Hoag study that you are citing apparently is not peer reviewed yet. It may be in the future.
My God. See, that's what I'm talking about. So you're going to find something like that my study's not peer reviewed, but your study, you find a study. Did they look whether
it's not a study? It's just a report from the doctor. I mean, it's like, it's such settled.
That's not the way doctors argue about studies. They don't say, "Oh, was this peer reviewed? Oh, was this from the New England Journal of Medicine? Oh, was this like?" They don't go by that way. You have to read the study, look at the data, look if there were any problems with it.
You mean how did they get? You mean data? they review it actually as if like they were peers? In other words.
Okay, fine. Then get a peer and let him speak to Malone, or get Malone on there and interview him. Let Osterholm or whoever you interview, let them speak to each other. But that won't happen because your side is afraid to debate. So let that happen on live. Let them talk. Getting a doctor who's an epidemiologist, whatever, oh my God, he's an epidemiologist, to tell you that I was wrong. It's not an argument because I can get you one that tells you you're wrong. So here's the deal. But I can give you things that you can validate yourself, so you won't kill your child with a vaccine.
Oh, shut up! Shut up about that! Shut up about that! Don't ever say that again on this program, or I hang up on you. All right, a-hole. Okay, there have been millions of children, who have received this vaccine and have not been killed. You're an asshole. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're right. You and I can't debate this because you're an idiot.
Debater, shouting me down and calling me an idiot. Brilliant. I can validate everything I say.
I know it. You had 22 minutes. And the assertions that people can go out and test is ask your doctor. Doctor, have you seen cases of myocarditis? Do the majority of those cases require hospitalization for multiple days? If the answer is no, then yes, sir, you sort of a doctor are an idiot. If the answer is yes, then what I have been peddling has been absolute lies. Doctor, do you hold more stake in a study that has been peer reviewed or not? If they say, actually, it doesn't matter if it's been peer reviewed. That doesn't influence my perspective on a study whatsoever. Peer reviewed. If the doctor you talk to says peer review, seriously? No, that's just so that people can make cash. Then people can have faith in what your argument was. If the doctor says, yeah, no, I feel a little obviously more confident when a study has been peer reviewed because people can make mistakes. And so a peer review looks into the way that the data is collected. It looks into certain assumptions that were made that may not be clear in the preprint. Then folks can determine that maybe what I had to say had more validity. I mean, that's basically it. Well, I should have checked if this dude was a libertarian. We'll get some more calls on this tomorrow, I imagine. People can call back and we can have some actual doctors. I like to. Are you a doctor? Yeah.
I've chiropracted before.
Honestly, like I spoken to, I don't know, somewhere between a half a dozen and a dozen physicians, specifically about myocarditis. And they're like, it's pretty common, relatively speaking. I mean, it would be, if there is nothing that myocarditis can be attributed to. In other words, if it's not a function of getting a vaccine, and it happens with other vaccines too, apparently, or if it's not a function of like kids got a cold or like a virus or flu or something like that, I would imagine they'd be like, we need to check out why your heart's acting this way. Why is your heart inflamed if we don't see anything else that could be contributing to it? Then I would imagine. But and the thing that I find like that was particularly annoying is all I was trying to do was, because he's making multiple assertions in each statement, and I just want to make it clear what those assertions are. And I don't care, Josh, John, Josh, Joe, John, Joe. That doesn't make a difference to me. The back and forth, which one of those two is right. At the end of the day, I don't care which one of those two is right as much as I care as to what's going out on a platform of 11 million people or a platform, much smaller platform like this one. In terms of information, I mean, it's one thing to say like, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback in the history of ever, or if we're wrong about that, then that's okay. It's one thing to say that Snapdragon is far superior to a Cortland. And we're not wrong about that. If we were to say a Cortland's superior to a Snapdragon Apple, then I would have an issue with that. That would actually be very problematic. Maybe apples aren't a really good topic for me to talk about that, but all right. A couple more IMs that were, holy crap. It's 3:00. Son of a bitch. That guy. That guy. That bastard. That bastard extended the show. How does that always happen? It's the last call of the day. This is where I really miss Michael, because had I looked over and seen Michael, just been like, please, no. And then I would have talked to that guy for another 20 minutes. Michael just be like, oh, Jesus, really, seriously? I gotta, honestly, dude, no, don't, oh, God.